Welcome to the Magic and Miracles podcast, where we share and explore profound stories that bring science and spiritual together in the most illuminating and unexpected ways. A miracle is defined as something outside the realm of what you believe is possible for you. These stories will lift and enlighten, showing you that anything is possible. I am your host, Nicole Majik. Join me as we dive into real-life extraordinary stories that will captivate your curiosity, shift your mindset, and bring healing to your soul. From real-life angels to the strange and paranormal, get ready to embark on a new, inspiring journey with each episode that prove magic and miracles happen every day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Magic and Miracles. I am here today with the lovely Gail Kraft. She's a beautiful soul, personality, face, all of it. And I just want to introduce her, and because she is one spectacular woman. She has so many stories. She and I just mesh so well, and we're just going to have a nice conversation today. Welcome to Gail, the empowerment master, podcaster, and author. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so looking forward to this. You and I've been friends for a little while now, and every time we talk, we're like, we can't stop. It's like, brr, 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 brr. So who knows where this is going to go?
There's so many different things that we could talk about. What is it today that you want to talk about? Because I know before we got on here, we were talking about the Kabbalah, and you have some really neat insights on that takes us down that path. So
okay,
why don't we just go there?
Okay, we'll go there. We won't start small and soft. We're going to come in hard and strong.
That's right.
Okay. I have been looking at truths and beliefs and turning them upside down, right, for a little while now, and finding the actual truth behind the lies that we've been raised with. And one of the things I've studied on and off over the years has been patterns on the trestle board, which are affirmations, if you will, that are aligned with each Sephora of the Kabbalah, which is your energy centers, kind of like your chakras, right? And so I'm writing a book called Journey to Empowerment about this process of creation, right? Which is what that's all about, the tree of life. And as I'm writing the book, I went, holy shinola, right? Okay, so we're in a third dimension, time and space. We also understand that everything is energy, and what makes something more solid is the density. So we know that steam is just water, just not quite so dense. All right, so take that knowledge and take a look now at creation, the tree of life. And when we were created, this energy force, which is made up of no thing, not nothing, there's no such thing as nothing, but no thing, this force, you can call it God, you can call it macaroni, I don't care what you call it, but something, right, said, I wonder if I create a more dense experience. And starting from the top, not from the bottom, comes in, and each Sephora is energy, our source energy, at a different density. And so each lesson with each Sephora is based on the density of that moment until you come to the last one, which is literally giving birth to man. And so this process of creation was like a holy crap, right? And I've always, I won't say always, mostly believed that we are not a third dimensional being trying to ascend, trying to be good and go to heaven. We come from that source, and therefore we have every right to express ourselves that way, because that's who we are. So that was, my most recent lesson.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that, because there's so much in that too that we could fractal out in all these different places, right? And part
I
of
love it.
third density is about that dualistic, the dichotomy, right? Of this and that, and one way or another. But if I don't know if you've read the Kybalion, but one of the things in the Kybalion is the Hermetic Laws, right, of the universe. And part of that is about the truth and what actually is the truth. And truths are only half truths, right? Because it depends on what perspective that you're looking from.
Right. The
Depends on
universal
what-
law of polarity.
Yes, exactly. The
Mhm.
universal law of polarity. And if you look into that, and on that third density, if we were to just really accept that you're entitled to whatever perception that you have, right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't even matter.
There is no right, wrong, or indifferent. It's
Right?
all indifferent. It's all indifferent. That's
It
the
is.
thing, right? Oh, so let me share a story with you from my coaching days. When I
Yes.
was first like learning to coach and leave my perceptions aside, because it's not about me when I'm with somebody, it's about them. And I had a client who came to me for business. I started off as a business coach. That's my background. Quickly changed because it's never about the business. And he came to me for a 5-year plan. And so I have, the paper on the wall, and I have, the categories we want to talk about, starting with this business down to personal health and finances, and the 5 years across the top. We've got our stickies. We're getting ready to go. And I'm like, so tell me about your business. And he starts backing away from me with his head down.
Oh.
And he says in his very thick Irish brogue, my business is getting me down. I said, sit down. I sat down. I said, so why are we even here? Because I'm not building a 5-year plan for something you don't even like doing. You won't succeed. Right.
Oh.
And so we dug into, his story. And now let's talk about beliefs. He grew up in a small town in Ireland where Da owned the store, the local store. He was going to grow up and take over the store. That was his plan. As a result, he did not dream as a child. He did not dream about being a fireman or a policeman or doing something different. He was focused as a child on that's my future. And then he met an American girl and fell in love and moved across the ocean and had no idea what to do, except he had to be an entrepreneur. Oh, but had no clue what that meant because he was going to own and run Dad's store. So he went into some business that he hated and he couldn't get off the ground. So I had a heart-to-heart talk with him about what his challenges and what his goals were. And we decided that he was going to go into business, work for somebody in corporate, and on the side, play around in a bunch of different things because he never experienced different things as a child. So play now because we didn't play then, but with the security of a job like Dad would have been a security for you then. And, it took him about 5 years, but it worked. The point being, one of his values, because what's important to you in a job, and these all have to be in alignment before you say yes. And he stuck to that list. One of the things was the women in the office have got to be good looking. Right? It was important to him.
Uh-huh.
Right? And, someone else might say, well, that's pretty shallow. If it's important to him, because his environment is important to him, and that's part of his environment, then by all means, make sure there are no ugly ladies in there. So walk around the office before you say yes. So I will say the first job he was offered, he said no to. That wasn't the reason why. And he found one that he just excelled in. He loved, he had all the freedom he needed. He played in all kinds of businesses. The point being is he had this preconceived idea as to what he was going to do. And when it was broken, he was broken. And that's what happens to many of us, right? Is we get involved in our belief systems and we find out that they're not true. And so when we learn, like you and I have learned that, well, nothing is really true or not true, right? We have the flexibility to flow with whatever situation we're in,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
And that comes from practice, meditation, and being curious.
Yeah, meditation is a big thing. And so many people don't know how to meditate, or they don't know really what meditation is or what it can really do. Let's talk about that
Oh, I'd love to.
meditation,
I'd love to.
right?
So I would say that I am in a meditative state almost most of the day. So it's not closing your eyes, getting into lotus position and saying, "Oh, yes, that's one of the tools." Right? It is being centered and focused. It's breathing. That's meditation. You're letting in energy, you're releasing resistance. That's what meditation is releasing resistance. And so there are a bunch of different ways, right? And so people who come to me and they say, well, I don't know how to meditate, or I can't meditate. Have you ever driven in the car and then wondered how you got someplace? Guess what? You're in that state of meditation, right? We all naturally go into it. So it's not an unnatural woo-woo thing. What we're trying to do is learn how to organically and naturally get into that state with purpose and intention.
It's
Right?
so important. It's an important part of manifesting, is being able to be in a present and focused state without your thoughts invading, really.
You know, when I first started officially meditating and practice, I would practice 3 times a day for 15 minutes. And I had a corporate job. I would go in the bathroom at lunchtime and sit in the toilet and meditate for like 15 minutes. I'm not kidding you. Every day, morning, afternoon, evening, right? And I got so clairvoyant, it was ridiculous. Well, my husband and I moved to another city, and for me to come in, I was living in Boston, come into Boston was ridiculous, right? And so I'm like, well, I want a job within 5 miles of where I'm living. Well, let me take a look. So I looked and I went for an interview. I come out of the interview and my mentor at the time, he said, so how'd it go? I went, oh, it's a piece of cake. He said, so when do you start? I said, I don't know. Let me call them. And I call like the day after my interview. I said, by the way, when do I start? They did not offer me the job yet, but I knew that I had the job. I knew before I even went on the interview that that was the perfect place for me. It was everything. I had my requirements, everything that I wanted. So that's what meditation does. It gives you focus, right? And it helps you really be clear and see what's available. It doesn't create the situation. It creates your awareness of a situation that fits what you're looking for, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some personal stories about all of the things like that maybe people think might be extraordinary in meditation, right? That we see synchronicities, we see visions, we see real stuff right there in front of us. And it all depends on where you're at, right? So
it does.
what do you have? What experience can you tell us about that you've had when it comes to something like meditation, which kind of gets you into that state of really tapping into that quantum other side?
Yeah.
What have you
I have
seen?
so many stories. I'll share a couple of them. So the first time that I realized that what I was experiencing and my meditation was real. Like I said, my husband was going through this process with me. So he was meditating as well 3 times a day, and we would kind of talk about our experiences. And so it was very reinforcing. And we were speaking with a friend of his about meditating, and we were so excited. We're like little kids. I want to share this with you. I want you to do this with us. And literally, I saw a brick wall going up. And I looked at my husband and he went, whoa, he saw it too. So this is when I'm like, all right, so what I'm seeing is real. It's not something that I'm creating in order to interpret a situation, because why would the two of us interpret the situation exactly the same way? Right. So that's when I got validation that, okay, and that just propelled me forward even more. Right. Then one day I'm at his mother's house, and I know I told you these stories. I'll tell you a healing story too in a minute. And I looked up, I went, oh, he was just in a car accident. And it happened in the parking lot. Here's what happened. Here's where the damage is. He's okay, but he's not happy. And she's like, sure, Gail. Right. And he comes home and he comes upstairs and he goes, I just wiped out the left side of the car in the parking lot. And he looked at me and he goes, did you cause it or did you see it? Because he knew that I'd seen it. And that's how powerful I had become, is he actually thought that I would have caused that energetically. So I'm like, no, I just saw it.
Well, can I just interject there, because that also shows like your astral presence, your energetic presence, however you want to assign it, your energetic presence being there was so profound to him that he didn't know what to make of it, right? So
he must have seen me. Yes,
he probably did. And there was, at any rate, he felt you there. He knew it was you, and there was definitely a connection to you. So in the brain, it floods going, I don't understand this. So, so did you cause it or did you see it?
Right.
Right.
And
Because
sometimes
it's just
we
like,
ask ourselves,
where am I?
right. Because we do create our reality. Right. So
Yes.
it's kind of like a, catch-22. Did I cause it or did I just experience it? And if I caused everything, if I create my reality, or we can go on and on about that one. But let's talk about the healing. So one of the things that this group of meditators and I used to do is we would have a card, like a 3x5 card of people who were in need of help. On the top of the card, first half, would be their name, their age, where they live, all of the types of things that you would need to identify and connect with that soul. The bottom is their physical ailment. And I would get into meditation, you would have the card. And you would say, okay, so it's Jane Doe and she's 36. Okay, it's her right arm is broken. Yes. Okay, let me fix it. Right. So as soon as I get a clear picture, you stop and then I heal. There was a woman there who had a niece who was born with a hole in her heart. And the surgeon said, when she's 2 or 3, she's got to be old enough for the surgery that we need to put her through. When she was old enough for her surgery, the hole in the heart was gone.
Right?
Yes. And we all, I know on my podcast, and I'm sure on yours, there's so many stories of people who have so many injuries. They finally tapped into, listen to everything else, nothing else works. And that's what happens with us.
The surrender.
We surrender. It's like, my favorite saying is, all right, nail me to the cross, you win. Right? You win. Right? And when we do that, we allow ourselves to be open to receive. And remember what I said at the beginning, that we come from source and we're blocking our own self.
Yeah.
Right. And it's energetic and it's with resistance. So if you feel, and it's, I'm not free. I still have some resistance, not much. Right. Oh, here's another.
It's easier to release.
Yes. And here's another, I think I posted on this one yesterday. Yeah, our emotions. What keeps our emotions in play, if you will, are the stories that we attach to the feeling that we have. It has been proven scientifically that an emotion lasts 90 seconds.
That's it. 90
That's
seconds.
it.
That
Bam,
is it.
bam.
Yes.
In, out.
Or less.
So,
90 seconds or less.
or less, right?
Yes.
Maximum 90 seconds, right? And so when you're bawling, you're, oh my God, he's killing me. That's the story that you attach, right, to the situation. And so what has been happening with me, so I still get triggered, I still respond, but literally it's 90 seconds. It's crazy because I like, oh, well, that was interesting. Well, why am I reacting to that? Why do I even care? This is just a story. What is really going on in this moment? Nothing. Done.
Yeah, I did.
Done.
I actually was experiencing something and I actually did a TikTok, and so I could time myself, and it was like just under a minute of like going through it, processing it and releasing it and being completely fine.
Right.
So yeah, like people don't understand that it's that tether that you create by assigning this specific meaning, attaching that story, and then reliving it over and over. That's what prolongs it.
Right. And so how do you change the story? Right. And honestly, not by yourself. Until you become skilled at it, you can't do it by yourself because you don't know that you're in a story. Right. So I'll give you an example. And so I was working with someone and they're like, with their current boyfriend, I can't believe he did that. This is, and see how my shoulders are going up. Right. I can't believe, and then, oh my God. And the body language. Right. And so wait a minute, what specifically happened? Well, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, blah, blah. No, yeah, that was then. What just happened? Well, if this continues, then this is what's going to happen. That's the future. I'm asking you in the now. How are you feeling? Don't put a name to it. That's key. Don't label it. Don't put a story to it. Where in your body are you feeling it? Now the shoulders are going down because I'm like looking in the now. Well, I'm feeling it in my stomach. So your stomach is all tensed up. Well, what would happen if you release that tension right now? What would happen if, you looked at it from their perspective? Have you thought that maybe the story that they're telling is this? Oh, no.
Right.
It's that simple, right? And when we get good at it, we can do it in a nanosecond. But all of those thoughts go through my head. Where in my body am I feeling it? Is it now or is it in the past or is it in the future? Okay, it's in the now. What happened just now? I'm still attaching the story to it. I don't care about that story. What happened just now? Great, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, it's super important to feel through where in the body you're feeling it and what it is that you're feeling it, because the back, the spine, all that area, the shoulders, up in the neck.
Yeah.
Gets all
why does this
related to
particular
anger.
person have migraines all the time? This is how they talk. I don't know. Every day I have a migraine. Oh, it must be something I ate. No.
No, it's your anger issues.
Anger issues, right?
Upper heart, throat, that's sadness. It's in the belly, like you mentioned, that's fear.
Right.
Right? Fear about what? Fear, anxieties, worry about the future.
Right. Right. And so, how is this magical? I mean, I would say 20 years ago, even maybe 10 years ago, if we talked about how your mind can heal the body, the AMA would throw us in jail, right? We would be banned. We would be blocked, right? No, 100 years ago, we'd be burned, right? Right. Yes. And now we're freely going, well, somatic healing is about that.
Oh, it's neuroscience now.
It's now
neuroscience. It was always neuroscience. It was always science, right?
Yes.
We love science.
That's true. That's true. Right. And the more we explore out there, the more we explore in here. So That's beautiful.
It really is.
That is beautiful.
And that is definitely something that I say is if you learn about yourself, all these wonderful books, Bibles and scriptures and all kinds of religious texts, they say, know thyself, right? Because when you know yourself at these deep levels, you understand everyone else in a very
Right.
different way. And that's what's beautiful, because that is what will change the world, is take the time to just know yourself and start moving in that space of creating for yourself, your own life, your journey, focusing on that. When we
Right.
project everything out at everybody, we're just like slinging rocks and mud and
And that's
snowballs.
holding resistance. Anger holds in resistance, and that's what blocks the energy in the flow. Have you read the book Power versus Force?
I have not read that one yet.
It's my favorite book. Okay. And because there's a difference between power, which is negative energy, or I mean, which is positive, and then force, right? Power,
Right.
force.
Yes.
And it's scientific, it's a scientific study around the world. And they have been able to measure energetically where you're at with each emotion. And so there's a chart, and I use this chart
Yes.
sometimes that,
I know this
Abraham
chart.
Hicks uses the chart. And
Yeah.
it's not from her, it's from Power versus Force, David Hawkins, I think. And what's interesting is you can move, see where you are at energetically, and you'll see with fear where you are energetically, you can move up the ladder.
Yes.
I interviewed a guy just recently who he's modified it so that it's not quite so big. And he says, I journal, here's where I'm at right now. And I put all of the hate, anger, reasons, and then I'm like, okay, so I don't want to be here. I want to be up the next rung. What is that? Okay, so what would it look like if I was here? And I start journaling and I start feeling that. And then I look at the next rung and go, okay, I want to be there. And I start journaling. Well, how would I feel like then? And I start feeling, so it's just a story. Life is just a story that we make up.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a stage.
That what you just described is like a really great way to exercise. What I bring my clients through sometimes is, who do you want to show up as, right? What is it that you really want, and who do you want to show up as?
Right.
Because until you know where you're at and where you want to be and what to actually focus on, because when we focus on the things of what people will perceive of us, right? Judgments, if it's not going to work out, because let's just say if you're losing weight because of how everybody else is going to be looking at you, it's not going to work out. You have to do things for you, right? If I want to nourish my body and, feel great in my body, that may not have anything to do with weight. It just means I'm going to take care of my body and the nourishing factors that it needs and do that. And then I'm going to feel awesome. And guess what my body is going to do? It's going to shape itself according to how it feels and what it's holding on to, what it's releasing, all of that stuff.
Right. And you can say, so I met with a woman who has been trying to lose weight, and we'll talk a little bit about why that process doesn't work. And so I gave her a statement to use. I said, you're not losing weight.
No.
You're not on a diet.
No.
You're not counting calories.
No.
You're not weighing your food.
Heck no.
But what you are doing is, I want to make the healthiest, most delicious choice for my body right now.
Right now, especially. Yes.
Right now, right? Everything is right now. And otherwise you're in the future, and that doesn't count. Yes. So, and I'll give the Oprah effect story, right? And this. We have like sub-modalities in our mind. And we're either moving towards something or away from something. So let's talk about away. Losing weight is moving away from being fat. And so if you're on a bell curve, if you will, and you're moving up away from being fat, you start to lose the weight. You go down a few dress sizes, right? You're able to put your tight pants on again, right? And then your subconscious goes, I'm done moving away from, we're away from being fat. We're away. So if you want to be away from being fat, we have to be fat again in order to move away from being fat. So let's get fat again. What
Yes.
the heck?
What the heck is right?
Right? And that's what's going on in our mind. Like, I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor anymore. It's like, okay, let's get that money. Let's get that job. Let's get that position. Oh, you don't want to be poor anymore. Well, you're not. Okay, well, we need to get poor so that you can work towards not being poor anymore.
This is the feast or famine. I talk about that too. Like it's the same thing. So I'm so glad that you said this because people need to hear this and they probably need to hear it about 57,000 times.
Right?
Sometimes
Because it's a
before it sinks in.
subroutine. It is below beliefs, right? It's so unconscious.
It is
Right?
so unconscious.
It's
Like,
so unconscious.
let's
But
work really
if you
hard and make the money. And then,
right?
oh, and there it goes. I just paid
No.
all the bills.
So my empowering question, and it's working, is, what more can I do right now to move towards a feeling and a life of freedom?
Yes. And peace. So many people come to me and they're like, hey, when I ask all the questions, it comes down to, I just want to be at peace.
What does that mean?
Right.
Right. And again, back to the universal law of polarity, if you you want peace because you have chaos. And
Right.
you have to compare. We're in a dimension that is based on comparison.
Yes.
And so we have to have, sorry guys, the comparison in order to move toward, not away from, toward what we want.
Yes.
Right? If we're always trying to move away from, that resistance of trying to push away keeps it anchored in our body. Resistance creates an anchor.
And where there is resistance, there is pain.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual.
Yep. Yep. And all of the physical ailments. So we talk a little bit more about meditation, and this stuff didn't start releasing until I started meditating. I had ulcers at the age of 12. I had chronic tonsillitis my entire life, sinus infections. I couldn't move my bowels. I would go 3 weeks and that would be normal for me. Where I talk about holding shit in,
Yeah,
literally.
not letting go.
Not letting go, being responsible, being the one that needs to hold this family together, being the one to hold secrets. By the way, my soul vibration is truth. And I'm in a situation where I have to keep secrets. Imagine what that's doing to me spiritually.
Yeah.
Right? Secrets and lies and shadows and all of that stuff. And until I started to face myself, right? And that's what meditation does, and which is why a lot of people are afraid of it, because they know they're going to be faced. Yes, there is a journey to the dark side.
Yeah.
But when you understand the universal law of polarity, the dark side is actually beautiful. It has a lesson for you. It tells you what you don't want.
Yeah.
Right? It gives you the comparison to where you're heading towards.
You get to shine the light in that dark space.
Right?
Right.
Right. Say, hey, I know that you're ugly. I know that you're terrible. I know this is awful stuff. Thank you for showing it to me. Gonna go now. Bye-bye.
Right.
Right?
And there's
And
always a lesson and an opportunity.
right, for sure. And I actually did a post today. And in the post, I was going to make it my title, but I thought that might be a little bit too much for LinkedIn and Facebook. But it's remember to thank the a-hole.
Yes. Seriously.
Right?
This
Right?
is a thing.
Right? Because that chaos, right? And that is there to teach you something. And if you don't take the lesson, it's going to come back.
Yeah. Thank you for
you
showing
again.
me XYZ.
Yeah. Well, she didn't get, and I was seriously like the worst. No, Gail didn't get that one. So let's shake her a little bit. No, Gail didn't now. Let's just like up her on her head. Finally. I'm not kidding you. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was dying. That's when I woke up.
Wow.
Literally thought I was having a heart attack. Right. And it's And I'm like, yeah, I see what you you told me there, what you told me there, what you told me there. Okay, moving forward, I'm going to be a little quieter and listen. Right. And this is when we talk about magic. This is not magic. It's life.
Right. Life
Right.
is magical because
Right.
you make it magical.
Right. Right. And it's so delicious. It's so fun. Right. And that's another thing. Ooh, we're here for a purpose. We're here for contrast.
We're
Right.
here to learn,
Right.
explore, feel out,
Yeah. And have
experience,
fun. And have
whatever
fun.
it is. You're here
Yep.
to do whatever it is that you really want to do.
And let me clarify another lie. So I work with a spiritualist, and he's like Abraham Hicks, right? And you'll be talking to him soon. He's reached out to you. And
Oh, great.
yeah. And he's like, Gail, they're just children. There's not this big fatherly figure that's going to bestow all these graces on you. They just want to play. They just want to have fun. And so I had this vision, right? There was a program called, I think it was One Step Beyond. Anyway, they would have very bizarre stories. And there was this story of this couple living in this neighborhood, and there's no one else in the neighborhood but them. Right. And they hear a laughter every once in a while, and they're like, whatever. And the day would come and night would come, and they would be living their lives, but it just seemed odd because where did everybody go? And at the end of the program, the camera pans out, and the laughter that they keep hearing is a child and their dolls in the child's dollhouse.
Oh, God.
And I used to think that that's what we were. As a child, I thought, someone is watching me and I'm just here playing, that this isn't all that serious. As a child, I believe that to be true. And now as an adult, I know it's true. But I'm the one who wants to play, because if I'm from source, it's not this child who's controlling me. I'm controlling myself. I am source. I am God.
Right. So,
Right.
like, it's just a matter of, if we all look at it that way, then it's just energy experiencing all the different flavors of experience.
Right. Right. And so imagine the child. So back to the beginning, right? Where the energy is coming down the Sephoras, right? Imagine the child going, what would happen if I got a little denser? Ooh, well, that was interesting. I just made light. Now, what would happen if I got a little denser? Ooh, that would be interesting. I just made wisdom. Huh. What would happen if I got a little denser? It's, ooh, I created birth. Wow, this is so much fun. Let's do it again.
Right.
Right. And so that's kind of what's been going on.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's so much energy shifting happening that I'm seeing and feeling and just witnessing through other people as well, that I really feel that we're at a place where it's, figure out what you're doing here. Figure it out.
It's when I used to work for a small company called GE. And one of the things that we would say when we were like in a project and it just doesn't seem to be moving, all right, we need to make a decision: fish or cut bait. Are we going to continue fishing, or are we going to cut the bait? Because this is ridiculous. And if we're going to continue fishing, what do we need to do differently? And we would actually cut bait if we had to. Right? It's like, we're going to stop this waste. We're wasting our time and our money. There's another project waiting for us. Let's go do that one. Right? Or, no, this is really meaningful. We're just going about it in the wrong way. So how do we change that?
Really, all that comes down to is, are the behaviors meeting your needs?
Right.
Which is
Right.
what we should ask ourselves in life
First of all,
continuously.
do we know what our needs are? Not our
Well,
wants.
that has to be defined.
Right.
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 All of
Right.
these are made for you to think. and then take some action and explore, because whatever it is that you are listening to right now, and you, whatever is grabbing at you, just focus on that and see, what does that mean to you
Right.
in the here and now.
Right. And if it doesn't fit, then move on. When I talk with my clients, I say life is an experiment. So you're in a lab,
Yes.
right? And what happens when you're throwing stuff into the tube and it blows up? Oh, okay, that combination
You
I
have a
thought
mess
would
to
work.
clean up.
Right. I have to clean up the mess. But in cleaning up the mess, I make some notes about what worked and what didn't work and what I think I need to change. And you go and do it again.
Exactly.
You don't say, I'm a failure. I just can't do anything. I'm just going to take my ball and go home. You just try something different.
Yeah.
And that's the key with this whole personal development and with growth and with the magic. That didn't work. Try something different, but absolutely find a way to meditate that works for you. There are so many different ways to meditate.
Yeah. Bottom line is, get to know yourself a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. Gail, how can people contact you?
The best way is through LinkedIn or Facebook. And I will not accept you as a friend unless you tell me that you saw me on Nicole's show. Right. Otherwise, I won't. I delete it. So it's Gail, Gail Kraft, Kraft. And on Facebook, it's Gail Kraft 77. And on LinkedIn, it's Gail Kraft. So do look for me there, because every place else I'm taking down, making complete shifts, as we were talking about earlier. Lots of changes going on, and I'm trying to get ready for it. Thank you, Nicole. This is so much fun.
This was wonderful. And again, I could talk to you all day and all night, and there's nothing to run out of talking about.
We would continue.
So we will end here with that. And thank you so much, Gail, for being on the show. And again, follow her because she moves quickly. A lot of people say that about me. So if you like that, if you like to learn things quickly, move into new spaces, really harness your true potential, follow us.
Yeah.
And let us know that you're there, because we want to be there for you too. All right,
Thank
everybody.
you so much. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Thank you for joining us for the Magic and Miracles podcast, where everyday folks like you share their life-changing stories. The world wants to hear your extraordinary story, so is it about time you tell it? You might just end up being someone else's miracle waiting to happen. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please submit your application for consideration. If you would like to nominate a guest or submit a personal story to be read on the show, please contact us via email. In the meantime, enjoy the journey. You never know when you will experience a miracle that will change your life forever, or if you will become someone else's real-life angel. Goodbye for now, and see you on the next episode of Magic and Miracles, the podcast with wings.